I only want a purely naturalistic explanation for the origin of computer. How did these molecules get together? How did this data get together? How did these plastic molecules come together and the different silicone chips? How did it happen? Your answer has to lie in the computer. I've already eliminated the only obvious answer to the problem at the beginning by my definition. They're trying to eliminate the only logical answer to the question by their definition of science. They want to define science as things that we can observe and test and demonstrate in the natural world. Okay, well then that eliminates both evolution and creation. Both are unobserved. We don't see anything change. We don't see anything created from nothing. Here's the problem. Both creation and evolution are religious. I admit mine's a religion. They don't admit theirs is a religion. And all of us are paying for their religion to be taught in the school system. And I, for one, resent that. I'm an independent, temperamental, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist.
Amen. I still am. Right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist. Amen. Thank you for joining us, folks. It is February 2nd. Yep. We're on a bunch of different channels. Tonight we'll be in the book of Esther about King Ahasuerus. Find Esther. Pretty much in the middle of the Bible is Psalms, and go backwards toward the beginning a little bit till you bump into Esther. A little short book, 8 chapters. I forget how many. It doesn't matter. We'll get to them. Okay. We're on Facebook, getting close to 240,000. Rumble, 11,000. Let's see, X, 5,000 people. Our own app. How many on that one?
I know, we're working on it.
Working on it. It's all free. Join us. Come on. Let's see, TikTok. I don't know what all they are here. Anyway, sign up for all of them. They're all free. We want to get the gospel out to the world. And tell your friends about us. Okay, let's see. February 2nd, tonight, King Ahasuerus Part 2. Groundhog Day. Did you know Punxsutawney Phil, the famous groundhog, saw his shadow today? So what that means is nobody knows what the weather's going to be like. Just keep serving the Lord anyway. It doesn't matter, okay? Punxsutawney Phil. If it's cold, if you don't like the cold in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, move. Dinosaur Adventureland, straight north of Pensacola, 70 miles. You know, I just Googled what's the temperature out, got a map. 58 degrees this afternoon when I took the picture. Going to be colder tonight, but hey, it beats 20 below, okay? Come on down. If they're 28. April 21st, I got the date right now, is going to be our 10-year anniversary of getting this property donated to us. Come help us finish the ark and plan a trip to join us for a big party we're going to have on the 21st of April. Coming up. Okay, we are independent, independent, fundamental, right-wing, radical, chicken-eating Baptist church, soul-winning, KJV. We believe the Bible is true. Evolution is stupid, real stupid, okay? If you want to join us, come on down. That's the kind of people we are. We believe God made the world in 6 days like he said he did. The earth is not billions of years old, okay? All the fossils, all the layers were made in 1 year in Noah's flood, nearly all. Might be a few stragglers here and there, but nearly all of the layers and all of the fossils were made in that 1 year. The earth is not billions of years old, and fossils do not prove the earth is billions of years old, and there is no fossil record, and there is no geologic column. How's that, atheist? I know that's your Bible, that hurts your feelings. Smallest violin playing your song. So sorry. Okay. We believe the evolution theory is stupid. Okay? There's no scientific evidence for it. Prove me wrong. That's what we're about here. Come join us for holidays. We'll be your family. Some people have lost their family, don't have any. Come on, we'll be your family. Are you confused about life? You have decisions to make. You're wondering what to do. You have big decisions to make. Come visit Dinosaur Adventureland for a few days and take our tour, stay in our cabins for free. Watch the stars from the sand dune and let God speak to you. It's a great place to hear God speak. Call 855-BIG-DINO, extension 2 to talk to Bobby, extension 3 to talk to me. Bible says one of our jobs is to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction. When somebody's lost their dad or lost their husband, it's a tough time for them, okay? They need some encouragement. So let's see. Now what? Come stay at DAL for a few days. We've got pastors here with a total, I added it up, Joseph, over 100 years of experience in the ministry. Amen. Right here on staff. Come on down. We'll help. We may not have the right advice, but we'll try, okay? Call Bobby. It's all free. Extension 2, okay? Remember them that are in bonds, okay? Well, Bobby opens the mail. We get hundreds of letters from prisoners asking for creation materials, and we send it to them for free, okay? We donate my whole video series to prison chaplains if they call for it. So contact if you got somebody in jail you know, contact the chaplain. Say, call this number, 855-BIG-DINO, extension 2. They will donate a set of videos if you let the prisoners watch them. We've had hundreds get saved in behind bars watching those crazy videos on science and the Bible. Many hurting people call for help, call for advice, call for prayer. Bobby kind of sorts through all that. 855-BIG-DINO, extension 2. Maybe you got too much noise around you. That's why you can't hear God's voice. Come to DAL. In the book of 1 Kings 19, there's a great story. There was an earthquake and a fire and a still small voice. When Elijah heard it, he went out and said, "Okay, Lord, I'm listening. What doest thou here, Elijah? What are you doing here?" You can hear God. It's amazing out here. You got problems, burdens, decisions. Come sit on the sand dune, watch the stars or sunrise or clouds, and let God speak to you with his still small voice. Sit by the campfire. That's a cool picture with the campfire reflecting off that big old cross, isn't it? Yeah. Yep. Psalmist said it, Psalm chapter 8, "When I consider thy heavens." See, there's the problem. You don't take time to consider the heavens. You're too busy considering the cell phone. When I consider thy heavens, the work of thy fingers, the moon, the stars which thou hast ordained, what is man that thou art mindful of him? Just come on. It's cool out here. Not just the cross. I mean, we got 140 acres. That's just one spot to get a loan. God gave this 140-acre property to the ministry for me at a low time in my life. I was fresh out of prison. My wife of 42 years divorced me. Lifetime of ministry assets and museum displays in Pensacola all gone. Come pray and cry with me. There's already a bunch of tears on that sand dune up there. Come on, we'll put some more. Or just sit and let God speak. It's very healing. This is awesome. I saw this someplace. We need one at DAL. Can you read that?
The stones will cry out.
The stones will cry out. There's nothing written on that. The stones will cry out. Yeah. You can't not see it once you've seen it. Now, all we have here at DAL, all we have here is little tiny rocks, okay? It's a gravel pit, lots of them. We need some big ones. If you got big ones where you live, bring a bunch down. Justin said he can rebuild one of these down here for us. That is so cool, isn't it? I thought it was cool. Anyway, come help us finish Noah's Ark, April 21st, our 10-year anniversary. We need sheetrockers, plumbers, landscapers, painters. Come on down. Lots and lots to do. I got to change that, April 16th. We need a lot of stuffed animals. Get a pair of any kind of animal you can find, send it down here. If I already got one, we'll give it to a herding kid someplace. Let's see, we're hoping to get some of the blacktop done. There's the Noah's Ark right there, 172 foot long. Going to cost a bunch. We still haven't got any bids. I forgot to call today. It's been a busy day, folks, okay? You can call Bobby if you want to help donate toward the blacktop project. Brother, Charles, to some people, 10, 20, 30,000, that's no big deal, I don't live in that world. What do you need? Like when I told the guy, we bought this property for sale. He called me when I got out of prison. He said, "What do you need?" I said, "Well, I'm looking for land to build Dinosaur Adventureland." He said, "Have you found some?" I said, "Well, yeah." I said, "There's an old gravel pit for sale in Lenox, Alabama, 140 acres, but he wants $250,000. He said, "All right, I'll buy it for you." I don't live in that world, but if you do, blacktop it for us, would you? Okay, come on down. My wild guess is 60 to 80,000 to do most of the blacktop around the Ark for parking. If we can't get enough, we'll just quit when we run out and do as much as we can. We don't go in debt, don't have any debt here at all. Speaking of debt, get our Dinosaur Adventureland piggy bank now. You got a QR code? Look at that, $7, Dinosaur Adventureland piggy bank. Teach your kids how to save up. Okay, we're open for free because visitors, people who like our ministry, join our 777 club. They're hoping I'm going to support you for $1 a day. Dr. Go. 9.8 years. Okay, I got a slide number 1, 2, 5, 4. That wasn't too bad, was it? Took too long? Okay. No. 1, 2, 5, 4. Enter there. Sackcloth is gunny sack material. It's a custom in the Bible times when you're really, really groaning and complaining and wanting God to listen to you, they would wear sackcloth, wear gunny sack. When Mordecai perceived all that was done, this is from yesterday when we talked about, they made a law that all the Jews are going to be killed in December. And Mordecai's a Jew. When he understood everything that happened with this legal stuff, Mordecai rent his clothes and put on sackcloth with ashes and went out into the midst of the city and cried with a loud and bitter cry, and came even before the king's gate. For none might enter into the king's gate clothed in sackcloth, but you can stand outside and protest, okay? And in every province, whithersoever the king's commandment and his decree came, remember they sent out the guys to bring this decree, kill the Jews in December or something. There was great mourning among the Jews, and fasting and weeping and wailing, and many lay in sackcloth and ashes. So what do we know about this king? Well, he made a rash and unwise decision to exterminate the Jews without thinking it through. His one stupid vice president, Haman, said, "King, can I have your ring? I want to strap a bunch of these documents." to have all the Jews killed. King said, okay, sure, here you go. Now his one stupid order has millions of citizens terrified for their life. So Esther's maids and chamberlains came. Remember, Esther was his niece that he raised as his daughter, and she's now the king's wife. Well, one of his wives, okay. Came and told it to her. Then was the queen exceedingly grieved, and she sent raiment to clothe Mordecai. Get that sackcloth off. And take away his sackcloth from him, but he received it not. Said, nope, I'm not. I'm staying. Then called Esther for Hathach, one of the king's chamberlains, I guess a butler kind of guy, whom he had appointed to attend unto her, and gave him a commandment to Mordecai to know what it was and why it was. She tells this guy, would you go find out what Mordecai, why is he doing this? So Hathach went forth to Mordecai into the street of the city, which was before the king's gate. And Mordecai told him all that had happened to him, and the sum of money Haman had promised to pay the king's treasuries for the Jews to destroy him. Almost done with my cough, folks. Another 20 years, okay? Also, he gave them a copy of the writing of the decree, which was given in Shushan to destroy them, to show it to Esther, and to declare it unto her. He's telling his daughter, you don't know what's going on. We're going to be killed. And to charge her that she should go into the king to make supplication to him, and to make request before him for her people. So he's telling this butler, go tell my daughter, go to the king and say, you got to stop this. Hathach came and told Esther the words of Mordecai. Esther spake unto Hathach and gave him commandment to Mordecai. They're sending a message back. This is before they had email, by the way, okay? All the king's servants and all the people of the kingdom province know, whosoever, whether man or woman, shall come into the king in the inner court, and you're not called, there's one law to put him to death, except such to whom the king shall hold out the golden scepter. She said, Daddy, I can't go in there, but I haven't been called. He'll kill me unless he holds out that golden scepter, that little rod they carry. But I've not been called to come in unto the king these 30 days. And they told Mordecai Esther's words. Then Mordecai commanded, answer Esther, think not with thyself that thou shalt escape in the king's house more than all the Jews. He's reminding her, Esther, you're a Jew too, okay? For that if thou altogether hold thy peace at this time, then there shall enlargement and deliverance arise to the Jews from another place. Honey, if you don't want to save us, God will do it someplace, some other way. But thou and thy father's house shall be destroyed. And who knows whether thou art come to the kingdom for such a time as this? And I love that. He says, Esther, maybe God put you in that position just for this time. God might work with your life for years and years and years. And what am I doing, God? Where am I going? He's preparing you. If you stay alert, all of a sudden, poof, there it is. 2 Corinthians chapter 1, Paul said sometimes things happen to you so that it prepares you for a ministry to help other people. If you get your arm cut off, you learn to live with one arm, and you don't like it, now you're qualified to start a ministry for one-armed people. You can say, I know how you feel. I've been there myself. You've been divorced, you start a ministry for divorced people because you've been through it. You've been robbed, you can start a ministry for people who've been robbed. I don't like going through those things, but God does that to prepare you. And that's what we said here. Esther, maybe God put you there for this time. Then Esther bade them return Mordecai this answer. Back and forth. This is pigeon. They don't carrier pigeon or. There's lots of videos and books with that title, For Such a Time as This. It's such a great thought. There's even a song, For Such a Time as This. For such a time, I don't know what God's preparing you for. Man, when I was teaching high school 15 years, I didn't know God was preparing me for this. Yeah. When that neighbor kid asked if I wanted to take the paper, and I said, no, I don't have a parakeet. And I wrote my first ever letter to the editor about the dinosaurs living with man and started a war in Pensacola and had my first debate. I never dreamed God was preparing me for this. Joseph, did you know God was preparing you for what you're doing? What do you do anyway? Okay, let's see. Then Esther bade them return to Mordecai. Go, gather all the Jews together that are present in Shushan, and fast for me, and neither eat nor drink 3 days, nights, day or night. And I also and my maids will fast likewise, and so will I go in unto the king, which is not according to the law. And if I perish, I perish. Esther said, pray for me. I'm going to go in there. I know the law. The law is you're going to be killed unless the king holds out the golden scepter. There's a lot of books and movies and stuff on this. If I perish, you just get committed. I'm going to do this if it kills me. That's a commitment you got to have. If I perish, I perish. People use that for a lot of songs and stuff too. Anyway, now it came to pass the third day, Esther put on her royal apparel and stood in the inner court of the king's house, over against the king's house. So she went on in. And the king sat on his royal throne in the royal house over against the gate of the house. And it was so, when the king saw Esther the queen standing in the court, she obtained favor in his sight. And the king held out to Esther the golden scepter that was in his hand. So Esther drew near and touched the top of the scepter. Then said the king to her, what wilt thou, Queen Esther? What is thy request? It shall be given thee even to the half of the kingdom. So God spared her. The king didn't want to be bothered. How many calls do I get a day where people bother me? Hey, Brother Hove, I need to talk to you about 6 hours. Can you talk? No. I'm sorry. Okay. Esther answered, if it seem good unto the king, let the king and Haman, he's the guy that got the bad order to kill him, come this day to the banquet that I prepared for him. Then the king said, cause Haman to make haste, that he may do as Esther has said. So the king and Haman came to the banquet that Esther had prepared. And the king said to Esther at the banquet, what is thy petition? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? Even to the half of the kingdom, it shall be performed. He must have really loved that lady, okay? Some women just go ahead and take their half. They don't ask for it, okay? Then answered Esther and said, my petition and my request is, if I found favor in the sight of the king, and if it please the king to grant my petition, to perform my request, let the king and Haman, she's setting all this up, okay, come to the banquet that I shall prepare for them, and I will do tomorrow as the king has said. King, come one more day. Have another party tomorrow. Then went Haman forth that day joyful and with a glad heart. This guy's called a narcissist. He loves the attention, okay? But when Haman saw Mordecai in the king's gate, that he stood not up nor moved for him, he was full of indignation against Mordecai. He hated that guy. Nevertheless, Haman refrained himself, and when he came home, he sent and called for his friends and Zeresh, his wife. And Haman told them of the glory of his riches. Told his wife and family, look how rich I am and how important I am, okay? And the multitude of his children, and all the things wherein the king had promoted him, and how he had advanced him above all the princes and servants of the king. And Haman said, moreover, yea, Esther the queen did let no man come in with the king unto the banquet that she had prepared, but myself. I got invited in. And tomorrow am I invited also unto her also with the king. He's proud of himself, okay? Yet all this availeth me nothing, so long as I see Mordecai the Jew sitting at the king's gate. Poor guy. That one little Jew made him upset. Then said Zeresh his wife and all his friends, let a gallows be made 50 cubits high, be about 80 feet tall. The big gallows, okay? And tomorrow speak thou to the king that Mordecai may be hanged thereon. Then go thou in merrily with the king into the banquet. Go ahead and hang that guy first, and then go on into ask the king if you can hang him. And the thing pleased Haman, and he caused the gallows to be made. On that night could not the king sleep. And he commanded to bring the book of records of the Chronicles. It's one of those boring books that you read to put yourself to sleep. How many have ever had one of those? You start reading and, right, okay. And they were read before the king. That's the list of all the things that happened. But remember, back in chapter 2 of the book of Esther, it was found written that Mordecai had told of Bigthan and Teresh, two of the king's chamberlains and the keepers of the door, who sought to lay hand on the king. These guys were going to kill King Ahasuerus, plot to assassinate him, and Mordecai heard it and told the king. And they wrote it in the book of the Chronicles. That's all back in chapter 2. And the king said, what honor and dignity hath been done to Mordecai for this? Then said the king's servants that ministered to him, there's nothing done. You didn't do anything for him. And the king said, who's in the court? Now Haman was coming to the court of the king's house to speak to the king to hang Mordecai. on the gallows that he had prepared for him. I love this story. What do you know about this guy? He doesn't even know why God would not let him sleep. You ever had one of those nights, God, why won't you let me sleep? Maybe he wants to talk. Just listen, okay? The sleepless night will change history. He'd been duped into signing the death warrant of the entire Jewish population by the idiot Haman. And the king's servants said unto him, behold, Haman stands in the court. The king said, let him in. So Haman came in, and the king said, what shall be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor? What should we do for somebody we really appreciate, Haman? Now Haman thought in his heart, to whom would the king delight to honor more than me? This guy's called a narcissist. Okay. And Haman answered the king and said, for the man whom the king delighteth to honor, let the royal apparel be brought which the king used to wear. Let him put on the king's clothes. And the horse that the king rides on. Drive his Lamborghini, okay? And the crown royal set upon his head. This guy's really an egomaniac. He wants to be dressed up like the king and ride on the king's horse, okay? The Bible says we know all things work together for good to them that are called, to them that love God, according to his purpose, okay? So, and let the apparel and horse be delivered by the hand of one of the king's most noble princes, that they may array the man with whom thou king delighteth to honor, and bring him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaim before him, thus shall it be done to the man whom the king delighteth to honor. Of course, he thinks the king's going to do all this to him. Then the king said to Haman, make haste, take the apparel and the horse, as you said, and do so to Mordecai the Jew. He came in there to get permission to hang the guy, okay? that Jew that sitteth at the king's gate, let nothing fall of all that thou hast spoken. So here's Haman now leading Mordecai on the king's horse with a sign. Hail, this is what the king does to people he loves. It completely turned around on him, didn't it? Genesis 5. His brethren went and fell down before his face. This is Joseph. They sold him into slavery. Remember, and later he fed them, brought them down, took care of their families. Joseph said, fear not, am I in the place of God? As for you, you thought evil against me, but God meant it unto this day, unto good, to bring to pass as it is today, to save much people alive. Hey, you guys thought it was evil. You tried to kill their own brother. And God turned it around for good. Haman wanted to kill Mordecai, and God turned it right around on him. Anyway, then took Haman the apparel and the horse, and arrayed Mordecai, and brought him on horseback through the street of the city, and proclaimed, thus shall it be done unto the man whom the king delighteth to honor. I wonder if he was cheerful he was saying that. Probably not, okay. And Mordecai came again to the king's gate, but Haman hasted to his house mourning, having his head covered. He's embarrassed. And Haman told Zeresh his wife and all his friends everything that had befallen him. Then said his wise men and Zeresh his wife unto him, if Mordecai be of the seed of the Jews, before whom thou hast begun to fall, thou shalt not prevail against him, but thou shalt surely fall before him. Brilliant advice, guys, okay? And while they were yet talking with him, came the king's chamberlains, and hasted to bring Haman to the banquet. Remember, day 2. Hurry, Haman, get ready for the banquet. He wanted to hang Mordecai that morning and go cheerfully to the banquet. Now he's going in, oh, brother, my plot failed, okay? So the king and Haman came to the banquet with Esther the queen. And the king said again unto Esther the second day at the banquet of wine, what is thy petition, Queen Esther? And it shall be granted thee. And what is thy request? And it shall be performed, even to the half of the kingdom. Then Queen Esther answered and said, if I found favor in thy sight, O king, and if it please the king, let my life be given at my petition, and my people at my request. King, save my life. For we are sold, I and my people, to be destroyed, and be slain and to perish. But if we had been sold for bondmen or bondwomen, I had held my tongue. I wouldn't have told you, king. Although the enemy could not countervail the king's damage. Then the king answered and said unto Esther the queen, who is he and where is he that durst presume in his heart to do so? Who's trying to kill you? Guess who? Esther said, the adversary and enemy of this wicked is this wicked Haman. Then Haman was afraid before the king. Hey, king, there's our enemy sitting at the table. wonder how Haman felt about that. I wonder if he had to change his underwear after all that. Okay, let's see. And the king, arising from the banquet of wine in his wrath, went into the palace garden. He had to get out of there and think for a minute. And Haman stood up to make request for his life to Esther, the queen, for he saw that there was evil determined against him by the king. Yeah, you're in trouble, Haman. Then the king returned out of the palace garden into the place of the banquet of wine, and Haman was fallen upon the bed where Esther was. Now you got to understand, in those days when they had a banquet, they would eat laying down on a bed. Had the table right there, had couches. You see a lot of pictures of this in the old days. That's how they'd have their banquet. Because how many of you ever got real tired after you pig out? You're already laying down. You're taking a nap. Okay. So he fell on the bed where she was laying. Then the king said, will he force the queen before me in the house? As the word went out of the king's mouth, they covered Haman's face. He don't get to say nothing. And Harbona, one of the king's chamberlains, said before the king, behold, also the gallows 50 cubits high, which Haman made for Mordecai, who has spoken good to the king, standeth in the house of Haman. Then the king said, hang him thereon. I love this story. So they hanged Haman on the gallows that he had prepared for Mordecai. Then was the king's wrath pacified. The wrath of the king is as messengers of death in the Bible. The king's wrath is as a roaring lion. Now in the book of Hebrews, we see where Moses did not fear the king's wrath. He was raised in Egypt. He knew what the king could do. He said, Lord, I'm going to serve you. Read Hebrews 11, the great faith chapter. Anyway, so here we have a problem. One problem solved. Mordecai's not going to be killed. Haman's dead. What about the bigger problem? What about the problem of all the messengers who've been sent out to all 127 provinces to kill all the Jews in December? Those guys have been traveling for quite a while now. How are you going to catch up? It's not like an email, you know. They're on camels or horseback. What do we do? Big problem. How on earth can God possibly fix this problem, for heaven's sake? Not even God can possibly fix this problem. We're doomed. There's no hope. Anybody ever felt that way? This problem can't be fixed, Lord. What are you going to do? Cover that tomorrow night. See you then.